What's up, football fans? Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking moves in recent NFL history. The Dallas Cowboys have traded away their all-pro defensive superstar Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, you heard that right. Micah Parsons, the heart and soul of the Cowboys defense, is packing his bags for Wisconsin. This blockbuster deal is sending shockwaves across the league. Not just because Parsons is one of the best defenders in the game, but because of how much the Packers gave up to get him. We're talking 2 future first-round draft picks, plus Pro Bowl defensive lineman Kenny Clark. This is the type of deal that completely reshapes franchises. And today, we're going to break it all down. What it means for the Cowboys, for the Packers, and for the entire NFL moving forward. Let's start with Micah Parsons himself. Since being drafted in 2021, Parsons has been nothing short of a generational talent. In just 4 seasons, he's already racked up over 50 sacks, more than 60 tackles for loss, and has pressured quarterbacks at a rate no one else in the league can match. He's not just a pass rusher, he's a disruptor. Parsons can play on the edge. He can line up as a linebacker, and he can make offensive coordinators lose sleep every single week. At only 26 years old, he's entering his prime, and Green Bay is betting big that he's the kind of player who can carry a defense into Super Bowl contention. The Packers didn't just trade for a guy, they traded for a game changer, and they immediately rewarded him with a record-setting contract. That brings us to the money. Parsons is signing a 4-year, $188 million extension with the Packers, averaging $47 million per season. Let that sink in. That's the highest annual salary for a non-quarterback in NFL history. To put it in perspective, that's quarterback-level money. But for a defender, it shows you just how much value the Packers are placing on Parsons' ability to impact the game. Green Bay knows that great quarterbacks win Super Bowls, but great defenses help you get there too. With Jordan Love emerging as their quarterback of the future, they're doubling down by making sure their defense is stacked with elite talent. And when you pay that kind of money, you're not just buying production. You're buying leadership, energy, and blame, and a player who can change the culture in the locker room. Now let's talk about what the Cowboys gave up. Dallas is sending away a player who was basically the face of their defense. In return, they're getting Kenny Clark, one of the most consistent defensive tackles in the league, plus 2 first-round draft picks in 2026 and 2027. On paper, it looks like a strong haul. Clark is a proven veteran who will immediately boost their defensive line, and those picks could turn into cornerstone players down the road. But the reality is, draft picks are always a gamble. You don't know if they'll pan out. What you do know is that Parsons is a guaranteed all-pro every single season, and losing a guy like that changes the entire identity of a team. For Dallas fans, this is going to sting for a long time, especially since Parsons has already said publicly that his split with the Cowboys wasn't his first choice. Parsons actually addressed the situation himself on social media, confirming the move and opening up about the strained contract negotiations with Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. In his statement, he said, "I never wanted this chapter to end, but not everything was in my control. My heart has always been here, and it still is. Through it all, I never made any demands. I never asked for anything more than fairness." That's powerful stuff. And it gives you a sense of how much this wasn't about him wanting out. It was about trust and negotiations breaking down. If you're a Cowboys fan, that's tough to hear, because it suggests this was a relationship that could have been saved if things were handled differently at the top. For the Packers, though, this is a moment that could define their next decade. Think back to when they signed Reggie White in the 1990s or Charles Woodson in the 2000s. Both were huge defensive additions that pushed Green Bay into Super Bowl contention. And in both cases, the Packers ended up hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. That's the kind of impact the front office is hoping Parsons can have. He's not just another piece of the puzzle. He's the centerpiece of a defense that already includes Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, and Jair Alexander. If you're an NFC team looking at this roster, you now have to game plan around a defense that can rush the passer from every angle and lock down your best receivers. And don't forget the schedule. The Packers kick off the 2025 season at home against their division rival, the Detroit Lions. That's already a big game. But now all eyes will be on how quickly Parsons can integrate into his new defense after missing most of training camp. Even more dramatic, just a few weeks later, the Packers will travel to Dallas to face Parsons' old team, the Cowboys, on Sunday Night Football. Can you imagine the atmosphere for that game? Parsons lining up against his old teammates, Kenny Clark on the opposite sideline, wearing the star on his helmet. It's pure NFL theater, and it's going to be one of the most must-watch games of the season. When you look at the bigger picture, this trade also highlights how NFL teams are changing the way they value stars. In the past, most franchises were hesitant to give up multiple first-round picks, but in recent years, we've seen more of these all-in moves. Think of the Rams trading for Matthew Stafford or the 49ers trading for Christian McCaffrey. The philosophy is simple. Proven stars are worth more than draft picks. The Packers clearly believe Parsons is that kind of player, someone who can single-handedly tilt the field and give them a shot at winning it all. And in today's NFL, where windows of opportunity don't stay open for long, that aggressive approach might be exactly what it takes. Of course, there are risks. Parsons is now the highest-paid defender in the league, which means the Packers have less flexibility with the rest of their roster. Injuries are always a concern, and anytime you put that much money and that many assets into one player, you're betting big that he'll stay healthy and dominant. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are betting that they can replace Parsons' production by spreading resources across multiple players, using those picks to build a deeper roster. It's a classic clash of philosophies. Do you put all your chips on one superstar, or do you build around balance and depth? Only time will tell which approach works best. So here's the bottom line. The Micah Parsons trade is one of the biggest NFL stories in years, and it's going to reshape both the Packers and Cowboys for the foreseeable future. For Green Bay, it's a statement that they're all in on winning now with Jordan Love at quarterback. For Dallas, it's a painful but potentially necessary reset that gives them flexibility in the future. And for fans, it means we're going to see one of the most exciting defenders in football wear green and gold for years to come. Whether you love it or hate it, this trade is going to be remembered as a turning point in the NFL, and you can bet we'll be talking about it all season long.